Welcome to the Perrysburg Podcast, episode 135. I'm your host, Perrysburg resident Kim Newlove. The Perrysburg Podcast is a resource for Perrysburg residents. We talk about what's in Perrysburg and why people like to live here. Our website is perrysburgpodcast.com. Today, I am joined by Joy Studer and Caroline Hoffmann from Historic Perrysburg Inc. They'll introduce their roles with Historic Perrysburg Inc. at the top of the interview, and then during our conversation, you will learn what Historic Perrysburg Inc. is, what they're known for, and how you can get involved. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Joy and Caroline. Hi, Joy and Caroline. Welcome to the Perrysburg Podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Happy to be here.
All right. Could you introduce yourselves, please, starting with Joy?
Of course. My name is Joy Studer. I'm the president of Historic Perrysburg Inc., and I'm joined here with Caroline today.
Hi, I'm Caroline Hoffmann, and I am on the board as well at Historic Perrysburg, and I am on the membership committee.
It's good to have you both with me here today. I have recently joined Historic Perrysburg Inc. I just got my username and password recently, so I am one of you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. I've been here for 18 years and I thought it might be time. I care about the history of this town. And ever since I participated in the scavenger hunt in August and September, I believe it was, and got third place, I thought, I would like to be part of this.
That's terrific. We're so glad to have you join us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm still learning, and anybody listening to this, whether they're a current or a future Perrysburg resident, might like to know what Historic Perrysburg Inc. is. So, Joy, what is Historic Perrysburg Inc.?
I would be happy to tell you about that. Historic Perrysburg Inc. was established probably around 1977-ish. Our mission is to promote community education in historical preservation, architecture, and local history. That's our purpose. We do a lot of things to help support that in the community, and the scavenger hunt is one of our most fun events that people like to do.
I certainly enjoyed it. Yes. Did you participate, Caroline?
I did not, but I did enjoy seeing people around town that were participating. And I also enjoyed going to the presentation ceremony at the end, because those are some passionate people and they have opinions and thoughts that they will share about what was on the hunt this year. They will call you out if certain things, like this past year, there was a house that had a ginkgo on it and the ginkgo wasn't there during part of it. So people were irate, and it's so good to see the passion that they have. And I know that every year, the group that does it really tries to up their game and make it more and more challenging. And the people just keep rising to it. I mean, there were multiple people that had everything right every year.
Yeah, I think the number of people who had all of them this year was in the double digits.
Correct.
And I did not get all of them. I think I missed 2 or 3. And I think I was a victim of the moving ginkgo too. Yeah, but still, it was fun. Anything to add about what Historic Perrysburg Inc. is before we move on?
We are an independent organization. We don't have any affiliation with the city of Perrysburg or the Perrysburg Area Historic Museum. We are all separate entities. We are all privately funded, not-for-profits. We are not affiliated with the fort either, and we are not the Landmarks Commission. That's, I think, an urban legend or a myth that people may think that we are part of the group who determines what happens with the historical buildings and getting permission to renovate them. And that is not our goal. Our goal is simply to educate, have fun with that history, and really bring to life what history we have here. So it's appreciated.
Okay. What are some of the other educational events or other ways that Historic Perrysburg Inc. engages the Perrysburg community?
Glad you asked that question. We, in 2024, we created an event in our Dora district because it is in our historic district, of course, with all the restaurants and merchants uptown in the 100, 200, and 300 block. We called it Sips and Stories. It was a walkable Dora event, and we put historians, reenactors on the street, and they reenacted local townspeople that were truly here and some of the things that they did. I think one of the most famous characters would have been Willard V. Way and his wife. And Willard was not always a nice man. He was kind of curmudgeon-y and not always agreeable.
I did not know that.
And so their relationship spilled outside the home. So many townspeople knew. And so it was quite hilarious when we put Willard and his wife on the street and they really reenacted that relationship. So quite fun. There were also during Prohibition times the suffragettes, obviously. Everyone had suffragette. And there were at least 7 bars between the 100 and 300 blocks that were grocery stores in the front. So if the husband said, I'm going to the grocery store, and then doesn't come back for a few hours, guess where he was? In the backside of the grocery store.
Now, hold on a second. I have never heard of a suffragette. Is that a makeshift bar?
The Women of Temperance, I'm sorry, probably better. The Temperate Society, one of the wives actually went out to the storefront of one of those grocery stores / in the back bars and tossed a brick through the window because her husband had been in there all afternoon and probably had been there many afternoons prior to that. So she was over it. So we also had a little station with that young woman out there. We had, of course, Commodore Perry out on the street. So that event was very well attended. We had to cap it out and close it up because we couldn't take any other reservation. We had to stay within a timeline. But it was just the best. Lupita's is very generous. Carlos is a very generous shop owner in town, donated food, donated some of the Dora beverages, donated a lot of things to us that day. So folks got a Dora cocktail from Lupita's, who opened specifically for us on that day and only received our guests. And they also got walking taquitos and things like that. So it was really, really a perfect afternoon.
And then he donated back the proceeds, a portion of the proceeds from everyone that ate there later that night.
Awesome.
Carlos is a really big supporter of all things Perrysburg, as I'm sure a lot of organizations could tell you, but it really added an extra fun element to our event that it could start and end at a local restaurant that way.
So, with that said, with the 250th anniversary of the United States this year, we have been asked by the city of Perrysburg to recreate the Simpson stories for 2026. So we have an actual date on the books. It will be October 24th. It's a Saturday. We are planning 2 events on that day, an earlier 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. so we can accommodate family things, more family-oriented stories and those kind of things. Then we'll have another event from 5 to 7 p.m. where we will have, at the end of that 5 to 7 p.m. event, we will have a toast to the town in Hood Park. We're not sure if we'll be up or down by the waterfront just yet. Some of the big things that we're trying to implement are maybe a drone drop, some music to accommodate the toast. So those things are all kind of being worked out yet, the details. But that event will occur that day. So it will be Simpson Stories 2026 and be a pretty big deal. Lots of fun.
Terrific. What other events might the Perrysburg community know you for?
Well, not so much an event, but one of the main things that people might not realize as HPI is the streetscapes along Louisiana. So if you stand outside several of the shops and restaurants along Louisiana, there'll be like maybe 1 or 2 per block, and you're looking at images and information for across the street, and it's telling you what was there in, say, the 1800s as opposed to what's there now. That was an HPI initiative, and that is something that is there every day for people to enjoy because of HPI's interest in
Preserving history
and also amplifying it for people that live here now.
I have seen those. They're signs that
Mhm.
are on these it almost looked like a table, but it's at a
Yep.
diagonal. Yep, I know exactly
Almost
what
a
you're talking about.
podium.
Yeah, almost like a podium. But yeah, I it's got the pictures from
Mhm.
yesteryear and then some text you can read about what used to be there, and
Mhm.
obviously you can just look around and see what's there now.
Yep.
And we are in a conversation with the city of Perrysburg currently to rework those plaques because with the streetscape revitalization, we're going to have to find something new. I don't think we'll be able to put those
Right.
particular pieces back. So we're looking for something new with the same
Mhm.
goal, same information.
I'm supposed to interview someone from the city of Perrysburg about the phase 2
Oh,
of
yeah.
Revitalize Perrysburg. So I will have to ask them about that and just see if they've been talking to you guys about that or if they have something in mind. But yeah, I look forward to seeing that project complete and see what you guys do there.
Yeah, we are too. The other thing that we are known for is the historic plaque presentation. So the historic plaques that you see on the homes, they're little metal. They used to be bronze. I think they still are bronze.
Oh, the
The
ovals?
ovals,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
So if your home is 100 years or older, you can submit an application through our website at historicperrysburg.org to get a plaque for your home. And essentially, all you really have to do is provide some proof, as it were, that your home was truly built on a certain date or year. And Wood County is notorious for laying 1900 down as a construction date because if they don't know and they can't really timeline it back to when the property changed and had a structure on it, they just say it was built in 1900. So, one of the ways that you can provide proof that your home is over 100 years is go to the county recorder's office. They can help you look up the actual parcel ID and pin that date down if you don't know it, and the books are quite awesome, actually. You can see the tax records of any piece of property. So you can see a tax record maybe in 1870 that was $10 annually for the tax. When it jumps to 200, now you know there's probably a structure there. So that's typically what we work from is when we know there was a structure put on the piece of land, the parcel. So it's pretty easy to do. A lot of people have surveys already in hand that they can provide with your year of construction, year built, those kind of things. So those are really fun. We
I
love to
have
do
seen a
those.
lot of the plaques, I guess, the day they're being presented on
Mhm.
your Instagram
Mhm.
page, which is kind of cool. Everybody looks so happy.
Yes, yeah, it's very cool. I would like to add that that plaque does not enroll you in the historic preservation. So you're not bound by the landmarks rules. It's just a plaque that says, hey, this house was built in this year, and it's a lot of fun.
Are you selling bragging rights?
Kind of.
Yes.
That's a way to say it.
Yes, that's a great way of saying it. And it is open not just to Perrysburg City, it does include township as well.
Okay. I think my house was built in 1991, so it's going to be a while.
You got a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. What else does Historic Perrysburg Inc. do? Or what are they known for?
Well, I will tell you, and as everything COVID, everything changed after COVID. So these types of smaller not for profits are getting harder to maintain. A lot of us are having to rebuild our membership, which is our goal this year, is to really build our membership out so that people know the value of belonging to these smaller community organizations. Um, so we're really in a rebuilding structure. We went from a few hundred members to a very small number after COVID. And prior to that, when they were the larger organization, they would hold lecture series in the library. They had women's teas. They did all those things. So we're looking to take a fresher approach. And those things are fun. They're just not that well attended anymore. I don't know if it's, generational. People like to do things differently, or we have more options available now. We have Dora districts, two places in the city. We have, Levis Commons and we have the historic district. So it's more fitting to maybe have events in that area. We've held speakers, guest speakers. We used to have a dinner at the Carinor Club, which is a very historic building in the city. I think the last one we had, a gentleman joined us named Taylor Moyer, who is a history teacher at Toledo School for the Arts. And he reenacted talk about the Titanic and local Northwest Ohio residents that were on the Titanic at the time.
It was so good.
And he came dressed in character. And I had not seen that many hands fly in a room about who wanted to ask him so many questions. I mean, before he was even finished with his presentation, we had hands up all over the room. So it's our goal to get back to those kind of things, but with a fresh approach, and maybe a lot more audio, visual things, a lot more Instagram, social media, and a couple of big events annually.
Okay, I love your vision for the future. I'd love to connect and have you on the podcast again in the future as well.
Some of the other things that we do on a regular basis, some of our big initiatives are every year is our scholarship program, which Joy has been very involved in through the years and can say more about that. But aside from the scavenger hunt, which everybody loves and gets a great turnout, the scholarship program is one of our biggest initiatives every year and something that we get very good collaboration on from other partners as well as good participation in.
It's interesting that one year we had so many applications, we chose 2 winners because we couldn't decide. They were so well written, and it sounded they were very passionate. Sounded like they were very passionate about history. And those scholarships go to a high school senior who is either planning to major in history in college or follow a history path. So become a history teacher, those types of things. And everyone knows, when you're young, your ideas change as you evolve through college and make that path. But at least they start out with it's a little help to get them on the next step.
A little seed money, get them started on their path to a history degree, maybe. Before I pressed record, we were talking about something to do with art. Is that different from the scholarship application?
Yes. So every year, for I'd say the past 3 years, we collaborate with the Way Public Library and the art department at Perrysburg High School. And the art students, they're upper class students, have 2 mediums to choose from in creating one of the historical homes in the city. So they can pick whichever one they would like. They can either create it through paint or clay, and then it's a juried exhibit. So the library exhibits that show, I think it's usually a month long, April through May. And then, of course, everyone can vote on which ones they think are their favorite. We also have a monetary prize for the first, second, and third place winners. And that's supported completely by HPI.
Very cool.
And in something that I think has been done with HPI in the past, and maybe not necessarily for this event, but we're thinking of ways that we could further showcase that work in ways that the community could then be a part of. So if that's something like the winner, there's a t-shirt and it's an annual thing. And if you're the winner, your design is on a t-shirt that's only available that year, or something fun like years ago on one of the home tours, they ended up making planters out of the historic homes so like think a vase, but a planter, out of the homes that were on the tour. So it could be something fun like that, something to kind of carry it forward and make it have a permanent memorial of what the winner was that year. We'll see.
I have an idea, if you don't mind my saying.
We love ideas.
I know that Welch Publishing has their greeting cards and I think postcards too.
We've been talking.
There you go.
Not with them, but we do have note cards that are historic Perrysburg, and we have been talking about bringing back a series of cards that would feature historic buildings or homes from the community. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could just see you having the real deal, a photograph of the
Mhm.
real structure, and then you could have the student's artwork next to it,
Mhm.
and maybe a little circle with the picture of the artist, something like that. That could be kind of cool.
I see what committee we'll put you on. Marketing all the way.
Uh, I have ideas sometimes, but
That's what we need. We need people that are passionate about Perrysburg and whose head is always running with new, fresh ideas, or maybe just ideas that we haven't discussed in a while as we've been focused on other things. So that's the kind of energy we want, people that love the town and have ideas on how to showcase that or amplify it or make it more accessible for the everyday Perrysburg resident to stop and say, oh, that's HPI. This is something they do. This is how I show my love of community.
And I don't think that there's been a more significant time. Every generation has a significant time to know about history. But I think history is beyond important. And if there's so much of it, we don't have time to teach it all. So, by our little community organizations, we can help get that history out there so that people can learn about it, especially in commerce and growth and how a city begins and where it goes and how it's built. I mean, there's so much about history that's significant to the way we live today. And I think as a gentleman, the teacher from the art school downtown said, we only have 40 minutes a day to teach many pieces of history. And as we gather more, now we're 250 years old, how do we fit all that in?
Joy, I know you mentioned that during the pandemic, membership went from a couple hundred to probably less than 100. You're trying to build up the membership, and I totally respect that. I wish you luck. Hope that goes well, and I will certainly promote it here on the podcast. But then, Caroline, I know that you are into the marketing and the membership. So, can you talk to my audience about how they can join?
Sure. So the easiest way to join is to find us online at our website, Historic Perrysburg Inc. Become a member for the low, low initial price of $25. We have several tiers for joining, and for that membership, A, you get our thanks and appreciation. B, as we move into this year at the different levels, we will actually be offering some swag with your membership level. So you can carry around a tote with our logo on it and let everyone know that you're a proud supporter of your hometown. Everybody has 15,000 uses for a tote, or we'll have a ball cap that is really smart looking and you can show your membership that way. But what we're going to be doing is asking members to step up. It won't be just participating in the scavenger hunt, which is open to everyone. You do not have to be a member, but we will be asking them, put this on your Facebook page, help us spread the word, amplify what we are saying on social media. But we will be asking those people not just to come to the events that we're going to be ramping up this year in preparation for building our membership, but also specifically around the sesquicentennial. But we'll be asking people to come with their ideas. You love Perrysburg. What would you like HPI to do? Is there something else? Is there something that you'd like to see on the website that gets refreshed on an annual basis to incorporate more of the history or rotates what we see on there that might speak to people that are more interested in the private homes or the public buildings that you want to know about? We need people in the community to tell us what they're interested in doing within our organization, but we're definitely looking for more members. We want those members to participate in committees. So that could be helping us when we're at farmers market and we're spreading the word about who we are and encouraging more people to join us. It could mean, look, Sips and Stories, that is going to be a big deal and a lot of logistics. And we will need everything from people that help write the scripts to help source the costuming or the audio equipment or work with the city on permits, or what if we need transportation to take groups around? We're going to need someone who says, I'll do that. I'm going to be the person that leads and finds all the pieces we need for that. There's all sorts of ways that you can be a member and simply write a check we thank you. And there's plenty of ways where you can say, I want to be on a committee. I want to roll up my sleeves.
All right,
There's
cool.
also a corporate level for sponsorship.
Oh, tell me about that.
It's a $500 level. And what that will do for the corporate sponsor is we will publish who supports us whenever we step out into the community. So not only would it go on our website, but whenever we're out and about or whenever we're publishing or social media posting, those things will be on like sponsored by corporate structure.
And it's a
Okay.
chance for us to help that company, some of those companies. You know, a lot of the companies in town, they have a long history here too. And you might not think about that when you're engaging with a certain retailer or a certain tradesman or I don't know, whether it's a bank or a lawyer or what have you. But there are a lot of family owned companies here or companies that have been in the community a long time. And they're really proud of their commitment to the town and how they've built themselves up as the town is built up. So I think we're looking for a way of being able to authentically share their stories as well.
I don't think I knew about the corporate sponsorship, so thanks for bringing that up. I'm just an individual member. I paid my $25 and I plan to engage further as time
Great.
goes on.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great news.
Yeah. And speaking of engaging, when you said farmers market, Caroline, it
Mhm.
reminded me that Winterfest is coming up. And is Historic Perrysburg Inc. going to have an ice sculpture? Are you buying a block of ice this year?
Yes.
All right. I'll have to look for your block of ice.
Yes. Yeah. We will have a block of ice out there. I hope it's not quite this cold, but let's hope the ice sculptures, we don't want it warm either as we've had in the past, but, somewhere in the middle of the road between today and warm.
Yeah, like 25 is good.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
It would feel warm.
That
As
would
we
feel good.
record this, I think it was 8 degrees when I was out at 11:30 in the morning today. That's a mite bit cold.
It's a mighty bit cold. Yeah.
Yeah. As we start to wrap this up, I'd like to ask each of you why you joined Historic Perrysburg Inc. Caroline, let's start with you.
I joined because I have been coming to Perrysburg my whole life. My father's from Perrysburg, my mother's from Toledo. So I would come every summer. I'm from New York. And I only moved here full time 4 years ago. And for me, I have seen this town really grow over the course of my life. My father lived in the historic district. So I have a real affinity and appreciation for older homes. Coming from New York City, the chance to live in a smaller place and really learn about the community, learn what makes it special, be someone who helps champion that and share that with other people. That's what drew me to it. You know, both my father and my mother were members. My mother is a member, so it was something that I was kind of familiar with. But for me, it's a chance to get to know my town and my community better and do something for it, to give something back. And it's actually a lot of fun. I like being able to use my personality and my learned skill set towards something that makes me happy, but hopefully brings enjoyment and education to other people in the community.
I like
And-
that answer. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Caroline also lived for a long time in one of the most famous historic buildings in town. So
Did you live in the pink house?
No, but I do love, do you mean the gingerbread one
Yes,
on
that's the
River?
one. I love that one.
Do you know that's almost, well, it's probably in my top 3 favorite houses. No, my family has owned the Old Wood County Jail for, we think just under 100 years. My grandparents bought it in the 50s, but they bought it from family members. So most people know it. When I tell people I live there, everybody has a story, whether it's a tradesman who's worked there or it's a friend who lived there or had a friend who lived there. My grandparents actually did get it registered on the National Historic Register. So it's been a fun point of pride for my family to own something that everybody recognizes. And we have recently, I've just bought a house on Cherry Street, so not living there now, but yes, kind of fun to live in a historic home.
with an urban legend,
With an urban legend, there's no ghosts.
but there are jail cells.
Yes, so the jail cells are still in the jail. Everyone wants to know. There are 6 jail cells. One of them still has the actual iron door on it, and the hinges on those things are great. They swing open and closed just like they did 150 years ago. And everybody always wants to say, are there ghosts? Have you spent a night in a cell? My nephew, when he was 10, spent a night in one of the cells and said no ghosts. It was just very cold and musty. And then he had a cough for 6 months that my brother and his wife, probably rightfully, blame on staying in the cell.
Okay. And for anybody who's new to town or thinking of moving here, maybe visiting, where is this old jail located?
It's actually located pretty close to the current police station. It's on the corner of West Indiana and Finley. It's a big white house up on like a slight hill, and it has the National Historic Register mark out front. And
White House black shutters?
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
I know
That's
the one.
it. Yep. No ghosts. And we actually have a neighbor who lived in the first floor apartment until he was 13 with his parents. So it's 1 bedroom, 1 bath, lived there until he was 13. And we need to sit down with him because he has some stories. He says that there used to be a fireplace in the downstairs living room, which we find no evidence or records for, but it would make sense that a house built or a building built in 1847 had something like that. He also said there was a side door in the kitchen, which there is not. So I'm thinking one of the windows was previously a door. But the best thing he said, and I'm not even sure if it's when he lived there was a trap door in what we call the bullpen. And that is the back part of the building where the jail cells are, and it's all stone floor. He said that there was a trap door in there, and it led to a tunnel to where I guess another, let's call it municipal building used to be, where they would have sentence hearings or something for do you call them prisoners if it's a county jail? I mean,
The accused.
the accused, the detainees. Because remember, it's a county jail. That means those people had to chill until the magistrate came back to the county. So the magistrate would go through all the counties. So you could be sitting there for like 4 days, 5 days until he came back around.
Did you ever find evidence of the trap door, though?
We have not.
Urban
Interesting.
legend.
I mean, it could be part of where the crawl space is, though. But my father used to do something fun. My father was such a fan of Perrysburg. He used to, for just a little bit of time, he coordinated with the grade school and the police department. So when the 3rd graders would go over to the Perrysburg police station and kind of learn what that was about, they would see the holding cells there, and then they would march down the street and they would come to the jail to see our holding cells. And they enjoyed that. And they wrote the cutest, sweetest notes, lots of crayon, lots of sketchy spelling. But they were really cute notes about, thank you for letting us see the jail. It was very sweet.
Cool.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you told that. Thank you.
There is another piece to that story.
Do
That
tell.
historical marker that's out front, Historic Perrysburg Inc., we had the preservation and restoration. We headed that. So that historical marker was preserved and repainted last year. And we funded that project. So
It was really needed. It was really flaking.
Huh. I'll have to stop by and take a look at that. I have been known to read signs and put it on the podcast, so I might actually have to put that in as a bonus for this episode.
There's been many a time where I've spotted someone out there standing on the lawn reading it, which is all well and good. It's history. It's living history. You should. But I think another cute story is people don't always realize that it's a private home. How would you? Why would you? If you see a historic marker, you associate that with some kind of public building.
Museum, yeah.
Yeah. So one is actually other members of Historic Perrysburg that live in the neighborhood. They were taking a walk and they were curious. So they were out with their dogs taking a walk and they peeked in the windows, as I would do. And there was my mother taking a nap on the couch, as people are wont to do. And that kind of surprised them when they jumped back from the windows. They have since had a whole tour of the place, seen it inside and out, and they really enjoyed that. But my favorite is one time there was a knock on the door. And my mother answered it. And it was 2 ladies who assumed that it was a museum. And my mother just brought them in as if it was and gave them the full tour. And they all enjoyed themselves very much. And then they went on their merry way.
How generous, really. Oh, my goodness.
It's a fun building. And when people exhibit interest, you don't want to turn that off. So it's fun. Even giving tours to friends and family that haven't been in it in a while, or maybe have never been in it. I mean, my tennis club, they enjoyed it tremendously. That was a lot of fun.
Wow, as the marketing person here, I feel like maybe there's an opportunity to engage with the community and have an open
Yeah,
house at the
very much so.
Yeah.
I did recently throw an open house party for people within my extended circle to come check it out, but I'm also really pushing for Perrysburg. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's Garden Club, maybe it's us, but it's been a while since there's been a historic home tour in town. I know that's a lot of work for people that own historic homes, but it can be so much fun and so educational for people who maybe they've never set foot in a historic home. They don't know all the beautiful woodwork, the stained glass, the built-ins that come with historic homes.
There could be a virtual tour
I
if
like the way you
somebody's
think. Again,
Yeah.
I see a membership. I see a marketing committee for you. Exactly. Yeah.
We're sharing ideas.
Yep.
All right, let's go to Joy now. Joy, why did you join Historic Perrysburg Inc?
Actually, the truth of it is, my oldest son was newly married. He was on the board and fresh out of law school, learning to be a good attorney, working a lot of hours. And it just became too much of a commitment for where he was in his life. So I sort of stepped in to help fill the gap. And then before I knew it, I thought, oh my gosh, there's so much here to tell. There's so much to love. Personally, I love architecture. I photograph architecture all the time. When I was young, I worked for a graphics company in New York City and photographed a lot of the buildings downtown for brochures and magazines. That was a way old prior life. Now I sell real estate with my husband. And so we've sold a few historic homes in the area, beautiful, historic. I mean, 1923 to 1925, very significant homes. And I just love everything about them. I love being in them. I love teaching people about the homes in our community, the buildings, how they were constructed, and how people used space much differently than how we use space. And it seems about every 10 years or so, we change how we use our space. So I do love history. I love teaching people about it. So the longer I stayed, the more attached I became.
I like how you took a personal interest and you combined it with a nonprofit here in Perrysburg, and the whole community benefits from your passion and your interest.
Yep, it's been good for all of us.
Mhm.
It not only helps enrich our lives, but then we can turn that enrichment forward.
I've got to ask, as we start to close this up here, if one of my audience members would like to join Historic Perrysburg Inc., I know they can go to the website. They can join either as an individual or corporate, but what's in it for them? What do they get out of membership?
Caroline, since you have membership, I'm going to let you answer that question.
Number one, I think it's just the personal enjoyment or sense of pride of place in being a member of a group that is trying to support and amplify the place where you live. But you will be the first to receive notice of events that are going on that we support. Like Joy said, we're trying to bring back a lecture series that we had. I particularly liked the one we had where the woman who heads up the Great Lakes Museum came. So fascinating. So you're going to be the first that's invited to these lecture series and other events that we'll be planning. But it's also a great way to learn more about your community and to be actively involved in your community, whether that is contributing to the scavenger hunt work behind the scenes to choose those places, and then we have to put it together. So if you are someone with graphic design skills or you are someone that loves history, we have things where we can put that to use in writing our brochures, writing scripts for events that we have, helping us share more informational fun facts, tidbits. That's what social media is for. People like snackables. And we want to be doing more to remind people here of all of the interesting and important historical architectural things that are around here. So I would say what you get out of it, a way to show your pride in where you live, and then an opportunity to actually take your personal enjoyments or skill set or things that, let's be selfish. You're going to do it because it feels good to you. And we have lots of opportunities to use that, whether it's just participating in events that we hold or if it's actually working behind the scenes to make those events happen.
I bring it forward in conversations. It's so much fun to hear people talk about. I heard that this place, this happened. And there have been some really outrageous things that happened in town. And that's what we focused on.
Let's
our
talk about the
first-
house with all the wives buried in the backyard.
There's that.
What?
There was a cholera event in the 1800s. A lot of townspeople died. And they are just kind of buried in many places. And they're not marked. It was just the time.
You're saying at private residences, people who passed away due to cholera were buried on their own property.
Sure. Yes.
How did anybody find this out?
It's written down in a book.
There's some oral history.
You
start to talk and there's
pass on
just
stories. Yes.
so many interesting stories.
Yeah.
So
I have a feeling Gary Franks needs to write a book about this if he hasn't
Well,
already.
I think he already did.
He and Mark have written quite a few. And actually, with their most recent book that was Then and Now, I used to work at the Gather Shop when that was open on 3rd Street, and we sold the book there. And it was so funny how many people would come in and say, I live in a historic home. It's not in the book. And we're like, you got to take that up with Gary and Mark. But one of the things they said was they need a picture of the house then and now. So, something like that really sparked people talking about their old home, what was so special about it, the stories they heard about it before they moved in. And that's what we want to do. Give a spark to conversation.
Fun. Let's sprinkle the fun. There are many authors, actually. Bob Boyd wrote several books about Perrysburg. One of them we recently discovered was a book titled Right Here in Perrysburg. And he has sprinkled that little publication full of fun little facts. And one of the Sips and Stories stops, and I'll just give you a sneak peek of one of the little stories we're trying to include. And when I talk about sprinkling fun in, is there was a bakery here called Pyatt's Bakery. The family still lives here. And Grandma and Grandpa ran the bakery, and Grandpa loved to give free donuts to the little ones who came into the shop with their parents. And Grandma would, kind of be cursing off on the side, like, stop giving away all of our profits. But he was amazing. And then one of the family members actually told me a story about how they would take the leftovers on Saturday after bakery day was done over to local hospital, which was a mental health facility at the time. And they would take any leftovers, baked goods to them at the end of the day. So it's just great little stories and little trinkets of information. Bob Hope actually stopped in that bakery one time.
Who knew?
And I won't further that story because it's part of one of our little vignettes that we're going to throw into our Sips and Stories this year. But just to give you an idea of what you don't know, all the fun things that happened here.
I appreciate you sharing all the stories. I got more out of this than I expected, so thank you. Any closing comments as we wrap this up? Caroline, let's go to you first.
I just invite anyone who's listening to go ahead and visit us online and check it out. And if you have questions, let us know. None of us are too hard to track down, and we really welcome anyone in the community that is interested to follow up with us. We're going to do our part to increase our outreach to the community, but we really want to hear from you.
And I can assure you that the contact form on the website does work because that's how I got this interview.
And we appreciate that.
That's great. Good to know.
Rachel Davis contacted me. And
Rachel is our most recent past president.
Okay.
Yeah. We, Facebook, go like us on our Facebook page, find us on Instagram, and again, come to our historicperrysburg.org website.
All right. Well, thank you both for being here on the Perrysburg podcast.
Thank you for the
invite.
invite.
For having us.
My pleasure. Thanks again to Joy Studer and Caroline Hoffmann from Historic Perrysburg Inc. for being on the show today. If you love Perrysburg and you would like to support local history, check out Historic Perrysburg Inc. online at historicperrysburg.org. You can join as an individual member. You can explore sponsorship options, and you can also keep an eye out for upcoming events like the scavenger hunt and Sips and Stories. In the show notes today, you will find links to Historic Perrysburg Inc.'s website, Facebook and Instagram pages, and more. Everything you need is on perrysburgpodcast.com/135. If you would like to get an email notification each time a new episode of the Perrysburg Podcast comes out, sign up for the newsletter on perrysburgpodcast.com. You can also subscribe to or follow the Perrysburg Podcast on your favorite podcast player and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. Share this episode with your friends and neighbors, especially the ones who love local history. I thank you very much for listening today, and I'll talk to you next week. Thanks for sticking around for the bonus. At this time, what I'm going to do is read you the Ohio historical marker for the Oldwood County Jail. The Oldwood County Jail is located at the corner of West Indiana Avenue and Findley Street in Perrysburg, of course. It is a white building with black shutters. The marker reads Ohio Historical Marker, Oldwood County Jail, 1847 to 1870. Built in 1847 during the presidency of Polk, when Perrysburg was the county seat, and used as the jail and infirmary until 1870. Continued to serve as the Perrysburg Jail until 1899, sold by the town in 1918. Acquired and restored by Mr. and Mrs. Charles W. Hoffmann in 1954. Listed in the Historic American Building Survey and National Register of Historic Landmarks, Library of Congress. At the bottom of this historical marker, the following three names are listed: the Charles W. Hoffmann family, the Wood County Historical Society, and the Ohio Historical Society, and that is followed by the year 1976. That ends my reading of the Ohio historical marker for the Old Wood County Jail, 1847 to 1870. Just a heads up, if you ever pass this historical marker and stop to read it, there are, of course, two sides to it, and they are identical. So I did not read both sides because it's the same information. Also, I would like to mention to you that this is private property. So if you do walk up to read the marker, be respectful. It's somebody's house. The last thing that I'd like to say for this bonus material is that this podcast has given me the opportunity to slow down and read signs that I pass by every week. I have passed by that sign probably every week that I've lived in Perrysburg for 18 years, and I have never stopped to read it. So, in case that's what has happened with you in your life, if that's your lived experience as well, you have now officially been read the Ohio historical marker for the Old Wood County Jail. Now we both know what it says. Take care. Thanks for listening to the bonus.